Welcome to the Get Real with King Arthur show. And it's raining here in San Diego for Cinco de Mayo. But anyway, today we're going to talk about a very sensitive subject. And I'm kind of nervous about talking about it, but we'll talk about it anyway. Remember, we're on this series started by the quantum theory. And I'm talking about the path to God. And we're talking about the power that Tennyson talked about in Memoriam, and that Shelley talked about in Hymn to Intellectual Beauty. One of my favorite professors or philosophers is Professor Sam Powell. And he made an observation I've never heard anywhere else. He said, language is about absence. Language is about absence. We talk about things that are absent. When they're present, well, we usually stop talking about them. Now, how true this is about religious meetings and ceremonies. A number of people say, we went to church and we felt absence. Or, I think it was John Steinbeck in Travels with Charlie said that I went to church and heard people cursing God and enduring him forever. Now I want to talk about a different kind of religious service, or not just religious services, of worship, of awe, that made a great, deep impression on me. In fact, when I talk about it, I'm going to remove my crown because it is too sacred. The presence. And to talk about it, I want to talk about a service I was in a Christian liberal arts college in the Northwest. And it was a usual spiritual emphasis week, and the speaker spoke, and they sang hymns, and a number of students went forward to pray. Then the president dismissed the service, and most of the students left to go to classes, but not for long. Pretty soon, things happened. The president disappeared, at least from the program. The speaker disappeared from the program. I witnessed three things. There was a freshman student who stood to talk. His face beamed and shone like I've never seen before or since. A guy named Jim spoke. He said, I came to the college with a motto, get saved or get out. I was the one who needed help. And then there was another one, stood up. You all know me. I'm president of the College Missionary Society. You also know that I'm the most bitter person on campus. Students left and brought back other students. There was no speaking. It was just awe. There were no classes. Well, you can say, well, the students just didn't want to go to class. Yeah, but there was no one at the dining hall except a few people. And finally, about 2:00, the president said, we must leave. And some students ran to the telephone and said to their parents, now we know what you're talking about, the presence. About 30 years later, I talked to Ron Lush, who was a wonderful student of mine and became my wonderful pastor. And I informally said, Ron, Do you remember that service 30 years ago? He said, why do you think I'm in the ministry? And I followed Jim. I knew him quite well. His life changed forever. So that is not absence, but the presence, and ceremonies and talk about God. Whatever disappeared when awe was present. It was beautiful. There was no one directing anything. It was all. Well, I remember another occasion when I said to myself, I would be offended if a 50-foot Jesus appeared with miracles and thunder and lightning and fields and insults. So sure I was of the awful presence. Well, that's my story of what has been so powerful to me in those services which were beyond description and power. And I will say that I almost witnessed one service like that at another college, and a student got up and started yelling at other students that it killed the presence, dead. But when a student or students talked about how they realized the truth about themselves, there was the presence. Well, I'd be glad if some of you would tell about some experiences you had and share with us. And so I will wait to hear from you and hope that you have experienced this transcendence as I was able to do. Have a great week. Goodbye.